Hi, and welcome to day 3 of the Save the Crafty YouTuber video hop. I'm Jeannie Ellis, here today to share with you my mixed media tutorial. Before we begin, please keep in mind that there will be prizes given away which will be drawn November 10th, so all comments must be done by the 7th of November. For your chance to win, all you have to do is watch, like, and comment on each video, and please consider subscribing. Be sure to click on the link below to hop on to the next video in the hop. Here I show you the tag, first of all, that it's colored only on one side. I used a brick stencil on it so that way it would give it the look that I was going for, which was kind of like a side of a wall, and you'll understand it better as we go along. But I took my Distress Oxide fired brick and used a dauber to do a circular motion with my finger in the dauber, so that way I could color it all the way in and make it easy enough. And as you can see, there's only one color that I did in there, but it still gave it a variation of color. Now, the next thing that I do is I take a chipboard window and I outline the inside of the window with a white gel pen so that I could cut out that window section. And you'll see later why I do that. So I take my black soot and I go ahead and ink up the inside of the window so that way there's no white or cream showing. I take various colors of paste, more like the rusty colors, and I put it together onto the chipboard window. I thought maybe the one color would work, but I saw that it just wasn't bright enough. So I used my finger and I start adding other colors, like a brighter red color or gold colors, and I add some green to it. Just, whatever colors you want to use will work. Anything that will make it more rustic looking. And usually that's the browns and golds and the greens in there. So I get pretty messy with it. So I set it aside to let it dry. And the next step that I use is a triple thick glaze, and I glaze my tag to kind of give it a seal, but also to stiffen up my tag some, because I wanted it not to be a flimsy tag. So I take the glaze and put it on the back side of the window, as you see there, and that helps to also give it a good glue to it, adhesion. And I also use it to seal the tag, the window. Now I get my Big Shot out. I love my Big Shot, and I work it a lot. And I took a Spellbinder's die cut, a vine pattern, and I placed it onto a variegated green paper to give it more of that type of a leafy look and color to it. Now it wasn't a dark color, but it's a color that I wanted. And I took my Versamark and wanted to use my triple thick embossing powder, and I just pressed the Versamark onto the vine and did that 3 times. Each time I pressed it, I would add the embossing powder to it and heat it up, then do the same thing. Did it 3 times. So Versamark, embossing powder, and heat it up. And be careful touching it right away, because if you don't be careful, then you could get that all smudgy and everything, and it won't look right then. But the more often you do it, the better the glaze is going to work. So I always make a mess when I do this stuff, but I always have fun with it. And that's the point of the whole thing, is just to have fun with it. Now you see here that he's all done, he's cooled down, and I'm going to add him onto my tag. And here's where the real fun for me begins, is because now I get to decorate. And I take various items that I've already kind of pre-planned, and sometimes I use them and sometimes I don't, but I did definitely want to use a clock. And I found some lace, and it wasn't going to work for it, so I decided to go ahead and figure out the rest of my embellishments. And the next step that you'll see me doing is getting my flowers, because I'm going to have to add flowers to that, and then add a lace to it, which was given to me. And because I didn't want it to be white, I used various spray mists like golds and the reds to it, and just mixed them together and kind of gave it a brown rustic color, which is what I wanted to do with that, to go with my tag. And to me that was too gold yet, so I added more of a deep red to it, quite a bit of actually, and I just heated it up with my heating gun and dried it that way. So now I had to measure it and get it figured out where it was going to set. So anyway, I took the key that you saw earlier and I added paste to it, several colors to it, you know, just I put some color on it, add another color to it in different places. I just kept doing it that way. And I used, you'll see my next step that's going to be is taking the flush cutters and taking off the end of the jump ring area for that key. So now there we go. I'm cutting out the lace to fit the size of it, and I noticed it wasn't quite dry, so I had to dry a little bit more. But then I wanted to get my key to be sealed really good, so I used also the Versamark and the triple thick embossing powder on it too. That way it wouldn't come off, you know, if anyone touched it. So it worked really well. Now more fun. I'm getting ready to put it all together. So let's just watch it for a little bit and you'll see what I do to it. Now remember, it's going to be a creative thing no matter what you do. Mixed media is different things. What you do to it, it may not always end up the way you thought it was going to be, but it's so fun. Oh, before I forget, here I'm using the same technique on the cheesecloth because I wanted to add it in there. Of course, I didn't want it to be white either. So, and you saw I had all these messy fingers about it. And I could have used gloves, but hey, you know, you got to get into it sometimes, right? So now I added my cheesecloth and I'm putting it all together. So let's just watch this. Okay, now I'm adding some gold cording. It's real thin, and because it's so thin, I just doubled it up a couple times and tied it into my little hole up there and glued it. So I want to add the acetate window now, and you'll see that it has a blue protective covering on it. So I cleaned off my fingers and peeled off that acetate protective seal, cover, and just used my beacon fabric seal. And now I'm adding the back of the tag, which is another piece of tag, and I'm going to be putting it onto the front of the tag. So that's two tags that I have there together. And the reason I did that is because I want it to be thick. And I was going to use that side for the window, but it wasn't quite the way I wanted. It wasn't going to be bright enough. So I went ahead and added another side to that second tag. So that way I had a black side for the very back of the tag, and the yellow side is going to be the window part of the tag that shows through. And if you look in the window, it kind of looks like a wallpaper that you see in there through somebody's window. Not that you want to be nosy or anything, right? You just want to see that, yeah, hey, that's a pretty wallpaper in there. So I did adhere the two together, the two sets, which made it a good thick tag for me, which I like the thicker tags. They're not flimsy and they won't fall apart as easily. And then I distressed it and it was done. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that it has inspired you, because it was such a fun thing to do. I also added, as you see, there's some stamen to it, and just had a lot of fun with it. So thanks for watching. And please, I hope you do like and subscribe, and be sure to check out all of the other YouTuber videos.